The social entrepreneur that I interviewed is Jonathan Ferrant, and I conducted this interview over the phone. Jonathan Ferrant and his wife Alicia Ferrant and their 5 kids currently serve as missionaries in El Salvador, and they've been doing so for the last 10 years. But before they went to El Salvador, they were currently living in Minneapolis and have roots here in Minneapolis. They actually attended my church, Emmanuel Christian Center, and were heavily involved within the community in Spring Lake Park. So the social issue that is getting brought up is kids in Latin America who have cancer. So kids in Latin America who have cancer, they're getting treated for cancer through chemo, and through the chemo, they're losing their hair. And why is this a social issue, and why does it matter? Well, in Latin America, hair is actually a huge part of identity. And since these kids are losing their hair, they have a loss in identity, they have shame, and they have no self-esteem. Some relevant statistics is actually 300,000 kids a year getting diagnosed with cancer, and that is 1 kid in every 3 minutes that is getting diagnosed with cancer, and the average age of a kid getting diagnosed with cancer is 6 years of age. So the business, entrepreneur business that Jonathan and his wife Alicia Ferrant have is called Wigs of Hope. And what that is where they get strands of real hair, usually donated, about 12 inches in length, and they attach it to a crochet hat that they crocheted themselves and make it as a wig. So what this is and what the product is it's a crocheted hat that goes on their head, but there's hair connected to it inside all the way around, so it looks like that these kids who are wearing this hat have hair under this hat, so it's a wig, and it looks totally normal, and you can't even tell. So they get these hats and these wigs, and they give it to these cancer patients at these cancer facilities in El Salvador. In order to make these wigs, they need money for this, and how they get the money is actually through donations. But specifically, Alicia has an Etsy account where she makes baby slings, headbands, baby clothes, and sells t-shirts. And all the products, such as the baby slings and the headbands, Alicia sews them herself and makes them. So some backstory about this is actually in 2014, they started as only having 3 wigs made, and now they have over 300 wigs that have been made and given to these kids in these cancer facilities in El Salvador. When they originally went down to Latin America, actually Guatemala, they were working for Impact Nations, this one organization. It's a missionary organization, building homes. but then they got connected with a cancer facility 3 hours away from Guatemala, actually in the country El Salvador. And one day, Jonathan Ferrant was sitting in the cancer facility with a little girl on his lap, and she was just staring at his hair and admired it and loved it, and you could tell on her face that she missed having her hair, and he could just see the hurt that she had. So he went home and brought this idea to her wife on him growing out his hair. And then actually what happened is he went home and he grew his hair out 12 inches in length, cut his hair, gave his hair to his wife, and she created a crochet hat and attached the hair inside of the hat and created this wig. And then Jonathan came back to this cancer facility, gave it to the girl, and she just felt loved. She started crying. She felt like she found her identity again, for that's how much hair matters in Latin America, for she now had hair due to this wig. So when it comes to hopes of wigs, where they are now, basically how they get their resources, such as the hair, people all over the world are sending in donations of their hair to their cause so they can create these wigs. Jonathan and Alicia, they also come back to the States a couple times a year, and when they do, they speak at different churches, such as my church, Emmanuel. They spoke at my youth group. They tell about the cause, spread awareness, and tell what is going on and like the impact of hair. People feel so moved that they end up cutting their hair on the spot, giving it to Jonathan Ferrand and his wife. For my girlfriend actually did this as well. They spoke at my youth group, and on the spot, my girlfriend cut 12 inches of her hair and gave it to Jonathan and his wife. And basically, how does their business of Wigs of Hope address the social issue in the Twin Cities? Well, by how it affects people here in the Twin Cities. For example, my girlfriend, when she donated her hair, she truly felt what it's like to truly sacrifice and how to truly love somebody. For she gave away something that she loves so another person could have it. The social issue that they are affecting in Latin America, there is some awareness towards it. For yes, there are other companies such as Locks of Love that gives wigs to cancer patients as well, but they charge money to these patients, causing them to not be able to pay for their financial bills, actually. So Jonathan and his wife give these wigs to these kids in Latin America for free. That's what stands them apart. So when it comes to awareness and what is needed actually to affect it, to help increase and make an impact on the social issue, is there needs to be more awareness, more donations, and more volunteers, and more prayer to these kids in Latin America. And if that were to happen, who knows? Maybe we could solve this problem of an identity crisis in Latin America.